This is Jacob with J&D Photography coming to you once again with another episode of Meet Your Photographer, the show where I talk about me and my photography business. This week's question comes from Markia, who asks, how do you ask people to put away their phones during the ceremony? Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a complicated question because a lot of times I don't really have control over what guests at a wedding do. If you had to ask my personal preference, I would prefer that they keep their phones in their pockets and let me do the job that I was hired for, because there's been so many times where a guest has leaned out into the middle of the aisle and I've had to jump around them to get the shot that I want. And so I understand their desire to get the shot, but at the same time, it's kind of interfering with what I'm doing, and that can be just a little bit annoying. So how I deal with that, a good way to do that is way before the wedding. I'll talk to the bride and I'll say, have you ever considered having an unplugged wedding? And an unplugged wedding is where you forbid any kind of cellular device or device that takes pictures. And you say to the guests, you know, I'm really happy that you're here and I understand that you're excited to take pictures of big moments, but we have already hired a professional to take care of that job. You can just enjoy the moment and just be there and be present. Now, let's say that the bride doesn't want to have an unplugged wedding, which is totally fine. It's well within their rights to do whatever they want on their wedding day. I will say to them that if there is a guest that's being disruptive and is getting in my way, I will politely pull them aside and say, hey, I understand that you're really excited about this and this is a really big day, but I've been hired to do a job and I would really appreciate it if you would be a bit more conscientious about where you're standing so that I can get the shots that I need. In the many years I've been doing wedding photography, I've only had to pull aside maybe one or two people who have just constantly gotten in my way or like stepped in front of my camera, and it's never really been that big of a deal because most of the time, you know, they're so excited to be there that they just forget that there's a photographer there and they just jump in front of my camera just trying to get the shots that they want. So all in all, it's really not that big of a deal. It just takes a lot of communication beforehand or if necessary during the ceremony to avoid any snafus. Thanks for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and I can't wait to see you for the next one.